Alright, welcome to the first of a presumably pretty long series going behind the scenes on how I made my small game Hollow City. This is the third time I've tried recording this. Various issues, and then I also discovered that, if I'm actually playing the game, OBS records at about 0.2 frames per second. So that wasn't really an option. So I'm going to be showing the game a bit in this video, and I'll be doing it in Unity because I can turn the fog off, and that's the most demanding thing in the game. The game is not very optimized. That's something I need to work on. Although I don't know, I'm gonna have to figure it out, because I think the fog is by far the most demanding thing in the game. But I'm not really sure how to optimize that, but whatever. So I will not even originally. Second time I did it, I played through it once, and then I played through it again and kind of pointed things out. I'm going to assume if you're watching this, you've probably played it. If you haven't, go play it. It's like literally 2 or 3 minutes long. Sorry. So I'm not going to bother playing it through the first time. I'm just going to play it through once, point various things out, and then I'll play through it again to show a secret area. So here we go. So normally it's a lot darker and foggier than this. So that is the first of 2 events, originally 3, but one of those got scrapped, which I'll probably talk about in another video. That do a variety of things. When you cross this trigger, it slows down your mouse sensitivity, it slows your movement speed, it pitches down and lowers the volume of all of the sound, or not all the sounds, but a lot of the sounds, and then it plays an event, which can be different depending on the situation. Here it is I'm pretty sure it's a random container with a specified number of loops with automation, so it sounds like it's kind of running around behind you with movement. And then that stops, and then all of the other things return to normal. Also, there used to be, you could get up here, you could get behind these, but I put an invisible ball up, so you can't do that anymore. And there is still a way to get behind here. You can like kind of slide up one of these barriers. I've done it a couple times, but it's kind of tricky. But I'll just put an invisible wall here. I'm waiting to build up a list of a couple things to change before I do anything more with the game. One thing for sure is I'll be creating a pause menu with a quit option, mouse sensitivity, brightness, and volume controls. So you can see these a little bit better with no fog. They're just piles of trash, and I add a small explosion force to them. So it sounds like the cats are causing a ruckus, or it looks like the cats are causing a ruckus. Both Bumble and Goose are in this game. This is Goose, and Bumble is a little bit later, which I'll point out. But I'll give more detail about that when I get to the sound design videos. Another thing that I'll explain more later, but there are, I think, 13 ambient sources that it's kind of complicated. I'll explain it later with more detail, but several of them have two versions: a high quality version, which is just the normal version, and a low quality version, which is it's processed with, some of them have a bit of bit crushing, and then all of them have good hertz lossy applied. There are a couple events that can trigger it, but I wanted to make sure that there was at least one sort of controllable place you could notice it, and so if you get close enough here, it triggers an event that the kind of crunchy, staticky sound. Okay, so here's the second one of those events I was talking about. Originally, that figure was going to be a much more prominent part of this game. It would be kind of following you around and stuff. Oh, that was interesting. That's the first time I've noticed something. I'll explain that later. There's a lot to explain. Despite this being a very, very short game, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with the sound. So yeah, the second event where it slows things down and triggers footsteps, but in this case they're actually coming from that figure itself. So next, I never really used this wall. It's kind of a shame. I might do something with it in a future update. We'll see. Oh yeah, that's something else I need to point out. These bricks, you can kind of kick around. I like how they came out. So there, you might have just heard the quiet footsteps behind me. There are 3 events Well, so originally there were 3 of those events where it slows things down and all. The third one happened right around here. I had to scrap that within the last, like, 2 days of working on the game because it just wasn't working. I have no idea what was going on, but it had been working, and then it just wasn't. I don't know. But to kind of make up for that, I eventually made a system that I actually ended up liking a lot more, where basically there's there's an object attached to the back of the player that for some reason, if I had it attached to the player, or if I had it enabled from the start, the little starting animation where you go from the main menu into the game, you would just keep going down like into the ground and then randomly teleport up. I have no idea why attaching an object to the player would cause it to do that, especially because the script that controls that isn't even on the player, it's on the camera, which is a child of the player. I don't really know, but it messed it up. So what I ended up doing was I made a trigger right towards the beginning there that basically once you walk past that, it enables this object that's attached to the player. So there are three triggers throughout here that when that object collides with them, it posts an event that just does a couple footsteps, and it locks them in place. I forget exactly what it's called in Wise, but there's a check mark in the positioning that basically makes it so when that event is posted, the exact position of the game object that's posting it is stored, and that's where that event is played out in its entirety. So that way, basically, if you didn't do that, if you're facing this way and you triggered one of them and you turned, it would like keep moving with you. So even if you turned around, it would still sound like it was behind you, which wouldn't really be right. So and I quite liked that. That was a relatively late addition, and I kept getting myself with it when I was kind of like testing things out and stuff like that. Just hearing, I think one of the most effective things, or at least one of the things that gets me the most in horror games, is hearing footsteps that aren't yours. That freaks me out. And a lot of the time, I don't know if it's even intentional or not. Or if it's just like, oh, you know, the object that controls the footsteps got kind of messed up and played too many or whatever. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it always freaks me out. So I wanted to include that, and I think they came out pretty well for that. They're quiet enough that you can kind of miss them, but if you're listening closely, you'll hear them, and I think it works well. So I'll go down here. So this is, I said the cat fight was Goose. This here, it's really low rumble. That is Bumble's purr. I I hooked her up with a contact mic. Not really hooked her up. She was sitting next to me, and I held a contact mic up to her neck and got a really good recording of this little rumble. Yeah, here's all the 3D asset, or just all the assets from the asset store I used. Mostly 3D, but some are textures and shaders and stuff like that. And that's my oh, you can trigger multiple times. Nice. That's my little ending UI. Oh yes, so I wanted to show the secret area. So if you don't want a spoiler, don't watch for like 2 minutes, something like that. I always like when people hide little Easter eggs and secrets and whatever in games, and so I wanted to do something like that. And I'll get a bit deeper into how it all works and what it is and all in a later video, but I'll show you how to do it here. So you trigger this car. First, you have to do these things in order. Trigger this. Bricks tumbling. So now all these rigid bodies have been unfrozen. Push them around. And then trigger this. So that is my signature sound, but I probably won't say anything more about it for now. I might do a video or have a section in a video about it later in the series. We'll see, but that sound goes much beyond this game, so I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Well, I guess I can show a couple things I talked about. So here's the trigger that triggers that first, not really cutscene, but I don't know what else to call it. Oh yes, that's right. Forgot about that. So originally I had this for some reason posting the event onto this object, probably forgetting the attenuation right or something like that, but the automation still works with attenuation, so I don't really know. I ended up scrapping that because it just didn't work, and I did it better. show you the script that slows everything down and everything like that. So also ignore ignore my code for this. I know the basics of programming and scripting within Unity, but not much more than that. But moreover, I don't know really the standards. So I just kind of ended up programming this my way, which is probably not a good way, but it worked well enough for me. So to do one of these scenes, you need the script for the player, player control. You need the script for the camera, which is first person, I think. First person. You need the game manager. Why do I have player script here twice? Okay. So yeah, when it triggers, and if not was played, I have on pretty much all of these a was played or was triggered bool for just making sure things only happen once. So if it's the player and it wasn't played before, set that to true. It posts the sound, which is footstep fast. Footstep fast. Then adds intensity in the player script. That's a whole other thing that I'll get into at another time. But it does set a delay on it, which is important. So here's a multiplier in the camera script that is basically like the mouse sensitivity multiplier. So you can, it slows that down by that multiplier. Invokes this to reset it, which just sets it back to what it was before. Basically does the same thing with the walk speed multiplier in the player script, and resets that. Player script is entangled equals true. I actually don't remember what that does. Oh, yes. Yes, that's right. It's a bool for adjusting how quickly you trigger footsteps. So, oops. So this is my footstep triggering section of the script. So basically, as long as you are moving, or at least as long as you're holding down a movement key, if the timer is greater than the delay, play footstep, reset the timer. Then if you're holding down the left shift key, so you're running, it adds time.delta time times 1.5. Otherwise, it adds time.delta time times 0.85. And then for if you are entangled in one of the like slowed down cutscene sort of things, it adds half of that. So yeah, that's why that's there. And And then, yep, same thing. It it invokes to reset that. Slow dot set value is a state in Wise that I think on certain buses it pitches things down and makes them quiet. If I had to guess. Well, once I get more into the Wise side of things, I'll show that. The parameters and stuff in this game are absolutely insane. I have like 80, something like that. It's a little out of hand. Volume. Okay, so slow must just pitch them down, because then this is an RTPC that is on like those same buses and stuff, and quiets it a bit. And for both of those, invokes to reset them, and it sets that high quality, low quality balance halfway, which really you can't even hear that much with it being pitched down and quiet, but just a little extra thing. Yep, so that's how that works. Show here's the tag along, I called it, the sphere. Can't you see it? No way you can't see it. Oh, it's disabled. Yep, so there's that. And then there's, let's see, tag along enabler right here. So basically has the tag enabler, and then I think on the tag along itself, let's see. Oh, maybe it's on the enabler. Or no, it's on the player, I think. Let's see. On trigger enter, if it's the enabler, then it sets the tag along sphere to active. So that's what hits these triggers. These are the ones that make the footsteps behind you. Those three. And the tag along, I think, is like 15 units behind the player. 10 units. Is there anything else that was all the stuff I really pointed out when I was playing it. So I think I'll probably hold it here, and yeah, expect more of these. I need to figure out, I need to have like a better plan for what I'm gonna do in each one, so I'm not just kind of fumbling around and saying but yeah, I'm excited to show this off, especially once we get more into the Wise side and sound design side. It is frankly ridiculous how much stuff I put into the like implementation here. It's a little ridiculous. But yeah, I'll hold it here. Oh, one last thing. I know I never finished making the breakdown videos for Cryptid's Chasm. I probably should, but the main reason that happened was it was around that time that I got a dedicated external hard drive for Cryptid's Chasm. So I think I got a couple around that time, maybe. And so I moved everything around. I like all the asset paths and everything for all the projects and stuff, I'm sure are broken. So I don't know how likely it is that I'll get back to that. But I might at some. There's some pretty crazy stories, like irrespective of any project stuff or wise stuff. There's some pretty crazy stories from the production of that, so I might still make a little video going over those at some point. But yeah, expect more of these, and also some videos about Watcha, which is this. This is something I've been using for a while, and there is basically nothing about it on YouTube. So I figured, hey, I might as well make some videos about it. I also will probably be making some videos about this blockhead. But I don't know when that's gonna happen. I still need to get a bit more used to it myself. Anyway, I'll see you next time.